This is a quick video we put together to demonstrate how to install your Tella peel and stick mural. I would still follow the printed directions that come with your mural when you're installing it, but this video's got some tips and tricks that we think will definitely help your installation go more smoothly. And so the first thing that you want to do is lay out the entire mural on the floor. You want to inspect it to make sure obviously that the correct product was shipped and that everything matches up with what you expected. But it also gives you a chance to visualize the actual size of the mural so you can get a rough idea where you want to place it on the wall. And it just helps you kind of orient the panels before you install. So the next thing is to measure the width of your first panel. And then we're going to transfer that onto the wall by making a mark where we want that edge to be. And you'll use a level at home. I'm just using a straight edge here in the video, but you want to draw a line down the wall that's the same width as that first panel. And this is going to be the right edge of that panel. And then I'm just making a mark at the top of the wall so I know where to put the corner when I start installing. And you'll see that in just a second. It'll go right there. So we want to peel back just a little bit of the top of the mural, not all the way. You never want to release all that back liner all at once, or you're going to have a lot of mural on your hands to deal with. And as it says in the directions, this is definitely a two-person job, so you'll see in a minute I have someone assisting me here. And so right now what I'm trying to do is just get the first panel up against the wall and orient that uppermost right corner to that mark that I just made. You can see it's right there. And again, that pencil line that you see by my hand, that indicates where I want the right edge of the first panel to fall. And I've measured that based on where I want the mural to be against the wall. And in our case, because this is just our test wall here at 4 walls, you'll see that it's going to wrap this corner over by my left. In your home, it may fill the entire wall or be centered in a longer wall. So once I have that corner established, I'm just going to lightly fix that so that I can get everything else lined up. And so what you'll see we're doing here is we're pulling the release liner away just a little bit at a time, making sure as we go that that right edge always stays lined up with that pencil line. And you can see we pull a little bit more, and then we want to come back and smooth it with our hands. Again, making sure that that right edge always stays on that line. And that's critical because this first panel, if that's not lined up, all the other ones aren't going to line up afterward. So you always want to get the first one perfect. And once he's sure that it's right on the line, we tack it down to hold it in place. And then you'll see we just want to come across now and smooth from the center out to the edges. And we're going to smooth out all those different wrinkles and bubbles that you see there. And this is a pretty forgiving material, so if you need to, you can lift it. You see there was a couple wrinkles right there. I was just able to pop them up and then re-smooth right over it, and I got all those bubbles and wrinkles out. This product actually has very small channels in the backing between the adhesive and the material, and these are designed so that even once it's been stuck to your wall, if you see any bubbles or air pockets, you can actually just push that air through the channels just with using hand pressure. So by wiping against it with your hand, you can actually move those bubbles outward to the edge without having to relift the panel. Now in some cases you might come across a wrinkle that's a little too pronounced to just smooth away with your hand, much like the one you see here. In this case, just gently lift away the material from the wall until you release that wrinkle, and then using a sweeping motion press it back into place and the wrinkle's gone. And once that first panel's up, we're ready to align the second one. Now the process is similar, except instead of a guideline, what I'm doing here is I'm matching up the pattern in that corner. And these are designed, they have a slight overlap in that panel, and you'll see more of that in a minute. But you never want to butt fit these when you line them up. You're actually overlapping the two panels a little bit. You're always aligning the pattern of the artwork. And just like in the first panel where we kept making sure we were staying on that line, here we're making sure that that pattern lines up. So I'm just gently tacking down that edge, pulling a little bit away at a time, making sure that it's lined up. And once we have enough of it lined up, we'll go ahead and pull that right side and then smooth across. And that's the procedure, just working from top to bottom. And once you press that seam into place, you can see it virtually disappears. You repeat the same process for the last panel, and once you're done, if there's any overlap at the ceiling or on the baseboard or in a corner, just simply trim it away with a hobby knife. And that's it. You are done with your installation. And so in closing, here's some final thoughts. Always start with a clean wall and clean hand. Because this is a self-adhesive material, it's going to stick to the first thing it comes in contact with, and that includes dirt. Take your time. There's no paste to worry about drying. There's no open time on this material. So make sure you take your time to get everything lined up just the way you'd like it before you adhere it to the wall. And don't go it alone. This is really meant to be a two-person installation. Even on the small murals that come in one panel, it really helps to have two people installing, one person to hold the mural and line it up with the wall, and someone else to help pull the backer away. It's also important to get that first panel just right. That's really the one that's going to set the tone for the rest of the installation. And if your first panel is crooked or off-center, all the rest of the panels will be the same. Also, don't sweat the small stuff. When you start hanging, you really want to look at the big picture and get things lined up and tacked into place. So little bubbles and wrinkles you can always work out later. When you're starting first, pay attention to the big picture and get the main part of the mural aligned properly. And when you do find them, if there are bubbles, you can gently push them out through those air channels that I talked about before. Just push them from the center out towards one of the edges and they'll flatten out right away. And if it's a sharp crease or a wrinkle, just gently lift the material up until you've released that wrinkle, and then as you lay the material back on the wall, just sweep it away with your hand. And the last thing is to make sure you inspect your work. It's always a good idea to go back over that mural one or two more times just to look for any bubbles or wrinkles that you might have missed the first time. Once you're done with that, your mural is installed.